Hey guys, I am so excited to welcome you on the show. Kevin and Jennifer, how's it going?
Going really well. Thank you
Very
for having us.
well.
Well, thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to chat. For those who might not already know you or who don't follow you, can you share just a little bit of your story? Like introduce yourselves, tell us, where you're at today and how you got there.
Sure. We are a married real estate team. We actually got married during the pandemic of 2020. But yeah, we are in Austin, Texas, and we've been in the business for 6 months now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you do before you got into real estate and why real estate?
So we were both acting majors in college, and we met in LA because that's what you do when you're an acting major. You move to LA. I'm originally from the Midwest, and Jennifer is originally from Texas. We met as tour guides on a back lot there, and we worked very well together and fell in love from that point on.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of a longer backstory here to get to. It's kind of a crazy story of how we got to where we are right now. So that's the beginning of it. We met, we were falling in love, and this is in 2015, and circumstances took it where Kevin needed to go back to Minnesota for family, and I stayed in LA, and we kind of disconnect, left our own lives there. And we had a mutual friend who kept, hey, do you think of Kevin? Do you think of Jennifer? So aside of this is that we were always kind of the one that got away for each other. And so in LA, I continued acting as well as being a production coordinator and a producer in the film industry. And Kevin.
Yeah. And then I was working in kind of healthcare for a while, and thought about real estate, and ended up getting my real estate license for just several months in Minnesota when we reconnected. And I just kind of off the cuff said, we should be a married real estate team. And she's really good at hiding fear, so she sounded on board. And then
the whole reconnecting thing is, he called me in 2019 as a just kind of checking in. I thought it was a butt dial, and I told him I was producing, but I'm moving back to Texas. I'm moving to Austin, and I had already made that decision. And I was telling him that, I love producing. I love, what I get to do in that industry, and the skills I've gained from that. And when I was explaining to him what I do on a day-to-day basis, he's like, actually, a lot of those skills would transfer over to real estate. And we knew that we would love to work together. So anyway, that's how it kind of formed. And he said, Austin sounds amazing. And so we moved LA, Minnesota, moved to Austin, and then the pandemic hit.
So.
Oh my gosh. So it's been a complete whirlwind for you guys then. I love that you're a husband and wife duo, because I am too. And I think that that's one of the ways that I really felt connected. Anyone who's willing to take that plunge. I mean, being married is one thing, but being married and working together in the same business is a whole other dynamic that those who really take it on seem to absolutely love it like I do. So have you guys how has it been going so far? We're 6 months in. Have you loved it? Have you had any big aha moments? Give me a little bit of a recap on how it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is for me was moving to a city that I had been to once and launching a business, a people-based business, right? So coming, not knowing anybody, and expecting to get involved in this activity and this activity and this, and not being able to do that was, for me, I think for both of us, the biggest of, wow, this is going to be hard.
Yeah, because the expectations, it wasn't that the pandemic happened and our minds were already the pandemic, well, I'll still do real estate. We had, it was a year in the making of us, me quitting my job and us finding our way here in our home. So it was kind of like, running into a wall of having all these expectations of all these campaigns, like, even though I lived in Texas, I was in LA for so much of my adult life. The only people we knew here were my parents, which is great. But it was knowing zero people. So we had all these plans, and this is how we're going to, get in the community and network and all this stuff. And then, the pandemic hit, and what do we do? It's just unprecedented.
Right.
And we don't know anyone. And so we were just kind of at a loss there of, now what do we do?
Yeah.
We put all our eggs in this one basket. And I don't think we ever said, well, we're just not going to do it. It was just more of a more difficult rev up, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So more of a, okay, what now? Instead of a, like, this is, it's so funny because, like, with so much stacked against you, I think it would be really easy to just kind of throw your hands in the air and say, like, you know what, this isn't right. The life is telling us that this is the wrong path for us. But I love that you guys committed to the goal and you kept looking for solutions. So in those first months, what did you do to really start getting ramped up? Like, what was step 1 through 3?
Yeah. I think enter social media.
Yeah.
And enter
social media. Well, step 1 was Market Authority Academy. To be honest, that was always the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were fanboying over you and Bryce, since we were in LA, or you moved back to LA, but when I was in LA still producing, he sent me this is before we made the decision, and he sent me y'all's Instagram, and it made it feel like, oh, this is this is possible. This is how, if we're going to do this, this is how I want us to do it.
Right.
And because, there's just, some kind of industry standards that I don't gel with.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from that creative side, like, I'm not a salesperson. And anyway, long story short, the plan was always, once we get our license, we are going to join Market Authority Academy. Then the pandemic happened, and we said, how much do you want? It didn't matter how much it was, like, because then it was like, this would be a good thing to do. And then it was like, we have to do this now. So that was step 1. This Market Authority Academy.
And I remember our conversation too, because we met just like this. So I love how this is like coming full circle, but we met just like this. And it's always a little bit of like, okay, how can I help? Like, what's the plan? What are we going to do? And I just felt like your guys' energy and your vision, and you were so committed. So I was just super pumped to work with you guys and help you ramp up. So you guys found a awesome brokerage that you're with right now. How has the last 6 months been? Where are we at today after really going through this ramp up period?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've definitely, we've built an amazing presence within our brokerage. I think they see what specifically our social media efforts are, and they're now asking us to do trainings for the brokerage, and they're doing case studies on us, which is really just so humbling.
Yeah.
And numbers wise, we currently are working with 6 buyers, and we have a sell by in a couple months that will be listing. So,
and this is coming from knowing 0 people.
Yeah, from 0 people, basically all social media, which has been incredible. Just people who, moving from out of state, getting a chance to know us before they work with us, I think has really put us at an advantage, so that we've been told on multiple occasions when we have been, meeting with clients, they say, yeah, you just seemed real. I feel like I already know you. I feel like, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, build a relationship, and then there's not, the whole thing of objection handling and all that, we haven't really found it. It's just being very transparent and just being humans, like, not like, I don't know, like, just having that psychology of, this is a relationship. I think it is helpful
us being a real married team, because it does show, we are, family oriented. And I think it kind of puts people's walls down a little bit, which is really nice and humbling too. Yeah. But yeah, social media and showing up in a way that is, we're more than real estate agents or what you think a real estate agent is. We're here as, helping with the Austin lifestyle and helping with, we're going to remember your kids' birthdays. We're going to know your dog's birthday because we're so into our dog. And yeah.
I love that. And I think that is the hardest thing to do, because it's kind of like that old adage of planting the tree whose shade you'll never be able to sit under, right? Like, because it's going to take a long time, although you do kind of get to sit under the shade in this case, but it takes a long time to ramp up that brand. It takes a little time just to really get consistent, because you don't really have a brand until people see the same message over and over and over again. But you guys it takes one glance at your Instagram. And if you're listening in on this conversation and you don't follow Jennifer and Kevin, definitely go follow. It's Gilligan Group ATX.
That's right.
Right. Okay. On Instagram, you take one look and you know what you guys are all about. And what's really, it's just not easy to do. And even a lot of the agents that I work with in the academy, sometimes you can miss it a little bit, because if you're not intentionally looking at how do I want people to feel when they interact with me, and what you had mentioned kind of as being a married couple and the family element to it, that is you demonstrating your values. And I think that's what people really kind of gravitate to, because when people know their values intrinsically, whether they're out there stating it or not, they understand what's important to them. And I think that what you guys have done really well is identified those values and learned how to demonstrate that that's important to you in an authentic way. And I think that some of the ways that you did this was you did an awesome branded shoot, right? So your photos are super cute. How did that go? And then are you still doing branded shoots?
Yeah.
Yes. So we actually have our next one in 2 days. Yeah. That was super fun. So the first round was actually right at the beginning, right before we launched. So she came to our house and she was so fantastic. I sent her the Pinterest board and she got it. She got the vision. And we've been using those photos for the past 6 months. So ideally moving forward, we will want to have more branding shoots.
Every quarter,
because you can only see me in that gray sweater for so long. But it
looks amazing.
Thank you for saying that. So our next, and that was in our home, and we're snuggling up with our dog and all that good stuff. And also
in those pictures, I literally want to snuggle up with you guys. I'm like, where's my hug?
Come on down. This is it was really fun, and then absolutely that evergreen use, because then just sprinkle those out, and we get a lot of questions, because it's amazing. People don't realize that we are wearing 2 things in all those photos, and people say, so do you always have a professional photographer? We're like, no, that was 2 hours, and then everything else is just from the phone, so
off the cuff.
But
then in 2 days we're going to do on location. So big thing with Austin, that Austin lifestyle. And we're going to go to downtown. We're going to go on, Congress, which is, where you see the Capitol, all the murals. Lady will be with us. Who's
our dog.
Lady, our dog, who's we say is our HR department.
Yes.
So we'll probably just be in one outfit with that, because it is a lot of kind of on the go, but showing that we understand, if you're moving to Austin or have lived in Austin for a while, we still want you to see us as we're going to provide value of the community too, of things to do, and so show us out in the wild.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's so important, because you guys do really well the idea of embodying that lifestyle, right? Like, and I think that that's something that we forget is we're really not selling homes. We're selling how someone's going to feel in a neighborhood. We're selling what they're going to do or where they're going to walk to coffee in the morning, right? And it just goes so much further beyond just the house, and that's something that you guys really pull into as well. And like, you're almost never straight up only just posting about real estate stats or like tips about moving. Like, you have such a multifaceted kind of approach to your content. And like, I a fangirl about Austin. Like, I love the idea of living in Austin. I'm kind of super jealous that you guys are there. But that aside, I would still follow you even if I wasn't interested in the Austin lifestyle, because it's just so engaging and there's always something new. So how many topics would you say that you post about throughout the week?
That's a good question. There's not a set number, but I feel like we both rotate through at least like 4.
Yeah.
I would say it would be something about the real estate market or just houses in general. Yeah. Something about us as a couple, and probably something to do with coffee, because that's a big thing for us. Something to do with lady and dogs, and
just the Austin lifestyle, I think.
Just local spots and stuff.
We, again, like you said, we are very fortunate because there's always something that anybody would be jealous to go to, you know, in Austin. Like, it's just an outdoor city.
They have dog food trucks.
Right. Yeah.
Come on. That's so.
But
that's amazing. And so you've really incorporated, I want to talk about the pet, like the dog thing, because there's a lot of agents out there that kind of like really identify that as something that's important to them. So how have you found that you've been able to, and it's probably just so natural because it's just who you are, but like, how have you found a way to weave that into your brand without it being like, I don't know, I don't even know what the word is, but like in you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
it just feels so right when I see you guys and you're talking about dogs.
Yeah, I think naturally it's just Lady is with us a lot, and if we're out, she finds herself in the photos, or when we're thinking of what would be a cool thing to do on Saturday, it's always dog friendly. So we're just kind of, like you say, like it really is. It's not a specific, we need to get Lady in 2 of the 5 pictures this week. It's like, we will be here and we will be there, and she will also be there because she's on a leash, so she doesn't have any say.
Yeah, and she and also we should know, because it is genuinely, I mean, she is our baby, and we want kids in the future, and without even saying that on Instagram, I think it's very clear that we want to be parents to humans. And we will be, but right now we're Lady is the only child, and because it has become so, people know her when they think of us. One thing that I'm really proud of, and like it excites me, is at open houses. For instance, like, so my parents live 7 minutes down the road. My mom is the cute Southern Belle baker person, so we're very fortunate that she'll bake fresh cookies for our open houses and individually wrap them and all that. But she also makes dog cookies. We have a dog recipe, food recipe cookbook, and there are organic, however you want to say, healthy dog cookies. So, and it's shaped in bones. So we always have a platter for human cookies and a platter that's clearly for dog cookies. So if someone, they come in the open house, if they ask, are these dog cookies, we're immediately talking about Lady, possibly showing them a picture and talking about their dog too. So that's an icebreaker.
And I think it goes off of what you said as well, Stefanie, is whoever you genuinely are, there are other people out there who relate 100% to that. So, when we have a little toddler, we're not at that stage yet, but we were talking to an agent just yesterday who didn't know what to post. Should I do a business page? Should I do a just personal? And, just the one, and just show everything on there, because there are so many people who relate to growing a little human, like having a dog, being into sailing. Like there's one thing or multiple things that like, if you relate to, there are so many other people that relate to it. And
so might as well be genuine.
Exactly. And are excited to work with you because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just relevance, right? Like that's just learning to find ways to, like you said, relate to people, and stay top of mind beyond the immediate need of like needing a home. Because at the end of the day, not everybody, like a very small portion of your audience is going to be a right now buyer. And we talk about this in the Market Authority Academy all the time. Like we don't want to lose out on those opportunities just because we're looking for low hanging fruit. So how can we still have a conversation with them and connect with them so that the next time they do think house, that you guys are going to be top of mind because they had that emotional connection with you. And I'm so jealous. Like that sounds like so much fun to have your mom come and bake those little treats. That's the sweetest thing ever.
Lady is so spoiled. It's not even. Oh my gosh.
She deserves to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And something I wanted to touch on, something that stuck with us. I think this was even before Market Authority, just something that you had touched on your Instagram. I believe is the 90-10 rule or 80-20 rube. Is it 90-10? Okay. So that sticks with us, whatever the number, the concept sticks with us of 90% what is under that umbrella. That's people who need education on the market or they're not ready yet. First time home buyers, that 10%, like you said, that low hanging fruit. That's, that visual there too of just, if you make a little graph there, it really fueled us to be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And this works for us too, of how we want to show up.
For sure. And now you're starting to see the results of it, which is incredible. So we have 6 buyers, plus that other 2-sided opportunity in the works. Tell me a little bit about how that's looking. So when you get these inquiries and when they do come in on social media, how are we solidifying that relationship? Because we worked on this a little bit in the past. How is that going from getting them from lead to pipeline client?
So we've been really fortunate with, there hasn't, when they do reach out to us, it's not that it's a guarantee by any means, but there's not much finessing. It's more kind of, where do I sign up? And from how they're talking.
Yeah. I think it goes down to the initial, they reach out. They've been either following us for a while or they haven't been following us and they've been seeing our stuff and they search and they reach out, and then, immediately getting that dialogue going, really putting the ball in their court, I don't know how to say it, not saying like, well, you tell me when you want to meet, but just when would be a great time. We're available at this point. We try to get, we always send a guide on us.
Our welcome guide. That Market Authority Academy helped significantly with.
Yes.
And we also have it in PDF form.
Right.
So if they do message us through Instagram specific, well, I guess in Facebook too, we try to get them over to a text or an email. We kind of feel that out of what is their comfortability like. Usually if they're on Instagram, they're more of a texter that we found. And so we start texting. I send them that PDF and initially, and then I say, we'll also send this in an email form. Let's set up a Zoom call. Let's just chat. That's all we just want to hear from you. And it's a no pressure kind of thing. And I think that kind of solidifies the relationship of, what they're presenting on Instagram. Hopefully it does come off as this no pressure thing, but when they do reach out, it continues to be a no pressure thing. It's authentic. We promise.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that too. And I was actually looking at your Instagram earlier. You have a really great following right now. You're over 1,500 followers. Do you remember where you were when we started?
I'm sure I wrote that down at some point. It was not, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,000.
I think when we met, it was between like 600 and 800.
Was it really?
Yeah. You guys have
I
done.
believe it. I was just thinking, like, is that there's no way that we've gained that much.
Year.
It's been the 6 months. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah.
But what that tells me is you guys are focusing on the right things, because the followers don't matter, right? Like at the end of the day, what matters is like the opportunities that we're creating, because like as long as you're consistent and you're showing up and you're providing value, the results follow, which is incredible. So we get them through I just want to acknowledge you guys for that, because you're just doing all the right things. I'm just so happy for you. So we get them to that consultation. They feel good. Their suspicions are confirmed that you guys are total rock stars and they're committed. Then what is that process looking like for you guys at this point?
Yeah, then going from there, so the housing market, at least with the buyers, right? The housing market is so unprecedented right now. And we are finding ourselves trying to learn while doing, but also comforted in that kind of our initial instincts when we bring it to our brokerage, to our management. They're saying, that's exactly right. We have no idea.
It's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented. They're like, yeah. So
the challenges that you guys are facing is a challenge that everybody's facing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we're coming away from our sales meetings, just kind of everybody's in this together sort of. And like, what did you do to get that because, we went through our initial training and it was like, obviously how to have a normal transaction when purchasing or selling a home, and kind of throw that out the window a little bit. Like, the basics are still there, but I feel like in a couple months, we'll have a better answer for you as far as like, this is what we do. Then we do this. Jennifer does that part. I do this part. Cause right now it's just kind of, just figuring out these case by case.
And also because I think a part of it is, the pandemic, us being, still in our beginning months, but also, which I believe you and Bryce had the same thing of just in the beginning of the business in general, figuring out what our strengths are as a married couple in our business. So it's a little bit, it's streamlined, but we know that it's going to, like delegation is going to shift and things like that. So a lot of everything that we're doing is pretty much, side by side to make sure we're doing it the way, setting the foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we understand is not forever. Will not be the way we do it. But.
100%. So you both are doing the right thing in terms of understanding what's required in the process, right? You have to actually learn the skills for all of it, because like this is kind of the beauty of delegations. Like, for example, when you do start your family, like Jennifer, like you might be busy with a baby sometimes, and Kevin's going to have to step in and take some of that off your task, or as you guys start growing a team, or if you have support staff come on, maybe you hire an assistant, like you're both going to have an understanding so that you can better delegate and train them. So I think that your instinct is right on there, where you both want to make sure that you have clarity on the tasks at hand. And then as you execute together, you'll learn what really interests you. And I don't think that Bryce and I really had a handle on that until after at least 2 years. So we had to go through a couple of sales cycles before we really were able to sit down and say, like, you know what, I loved this part of the transaction. I actually had a really good time doing this. Like for Bryce, that's showing homes. He loves showing homes. He loves going out and meeting with clients. He loves negotiating, all of that stuff. And for me, like, I just want to tinker, right? Like, I want to like work on the back office stuff. I want to like create beautiful marketing. I want to do all these things. And as you learn that, then it becomes very natural to step up and embody that role. So you guys your instincts are right on. And I think that as time goes on, you're going to feel really comfortable kind of settling into a more like divide and conquer kind of state,
We're looking forward. That's so nice to hear of like, okay, we're doing the right thing. And it really is, putting in that time, and we see what the goal is in terms of that delegation, but we know that things might take a little bit longer on the back end for us until then.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at this point, I kind of want to turn it over to you guys. So I want to hear what obstacles you might be struggling with and ways that I can help. I want to see how we can help you make sure that you're on the right track to close out the year really strong.
Love it. Well, one thing that we wanted to mention is an original obstacle. It's an ongoing one, but one that really was kind of paralyzing us in the beginning was just the how things work, or the kind of old school way of thinking in the real estate industry, and in terms of, you know, I don't know, the salesmanship, I guess you could say, how you show up, I guess.
Yeah.
And it took us a while to, you know, once we got with Market Authority Academy, we kind of found our people in a way of, oh, this is how we're feeling, or the hesitations that we feel. Like, we are now more confident in how we are showing up, being like, what's right, what's wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's such a nice feeling to, you know, hear from, you know, hearing from our brokerage of, mm-hmm. of they're loving how we're showing up, and we feel like it's not necessarily the norm, mm-hmm. I would say. Yeah. But that comes from your teaching and the psychology that goes behind that, and us being our authentic selves.
Yeah. That's very well put.
So that was a big obstacle, and now we're more confident in continuing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. See what's right now, things are bubbling. It's almost like okay,
it's starting to get real.
Yeah.
I think just kind of time will, once we have these transactions under our belt, there's definitely going to be, you know, mistakes that we make, and we want to, so let's never do that again. Mm-hmm. Right now, I think we feel like we're in a good place.
Well, the one thing is that I think it comes with any agent who is still new and launching their business, is having, you know, an objection of, well, how many houses have you sold? How many? Mm-hmm. And knowing that just because we have, you know, been in the business 6 months, our marketing, all these other things that are, you know, this new wave where, I don't know, like, just because we don't have tons to point at doesn't mean that we're not just, we don't know what we're doing. Like, it's not that we're eager, and we're trained in all of this. Right. So I think it's, we haven't had that objection yet, but mm-hmm. I think in the back of my mind, I would love to be able to, you know, point to all these houses, all these transactions. Yeah. And it really is, you know, time, I don't know, time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, that fear is actually something that a lot of real estate agents struggle with. And I hear that from agents who have been in the business for 5 years, who were just kind of part-time and were never serious about it, and like never sold a house, but they tell everybody they've been an agent for 5 years, right?
Right.
So they're kind of like just cherry picking which metrics they want to boast. Right. And what it really comes down to is you have to, and you will get asked that. So that question will come up, and it's a valid question, and it's not something that we want to be defensive about, and it's not something that we want to discourage, because we do want to make sure it should be in our interest to empower our clients to ask the right questions so that they can find the best service for themselves. And obviously we want to be that person. But the more that we work with them and help them get the information that they need, the more they're going to trust us. So at the end of the day, what I always say is, number one, you just really have to know your contracts, right? And so something that we kind of spoke about, I remember in one of our first calls, was like, just make sure you're reading your contract. Like, you need to read your contract at least 50 times, like your purchase documents. Mm-hmm. You have to read those at least 50 times before you have enough context in what they mean. And so it's an exercise that you guys can actually do with yourself, where you can like print out your contracts, set it in front of each other, set across the table, and just point to a line or a section and say, tell me what this means.
I love
and
that.
You need to be able to completely riff off, this is what this means, this is how this would impact the buyer, and this is how this would impact the seller. These are the possible loopholes, and these are the possible risks. You have to be good at that. And then that's what you're not challenging the potential client with, but you can ask them to do that to you. You can say, you know what, truthfully, we're kind of new still. And while we're super trained and we are backed with, 30 combined years of experience with our mentors and brokers, and get that number. Okay. Yeah. Understand what your brokers, because that's the least that they can do, is at least show that they have your back and make sure that you can lean on their experience. That's your first thing, is saying like, look, I'm backed with 30 years of experience through my broker. They're, all this stuff, whatever. But beyond that, I am highly trained. And what you really, I think, want to know, Mr. Seller or Mr. Buyer, is how well am I prepared to protect you with this purchase? Am I right? And they might say, yeah, we just want it. It's a big investment, or it's our biggest investment. We want to make sure it's protected. And you would say, yeah, totally. I think that's a completely valid point. And I'm super empathetic about that. I would feel the exact same way, honestly, if I was sitting across from a brand new agent. And so what I've done to prepare myself to make sure that I am as well equipped as possible to protect your investments is I understand the contracts better than even more seasoned agents than me. And you can even test me right here. Here's a blank contract. You can point to any section and I will tell you exactly what that means and how it impacts you, because this is the document that's going to either protect you or harm you, depending on how well I know it. Mm-hmm. And you can role play that with each other a couple of times and have that confidence. And the next thing you want to do is say, they're going to say, okay, great, that sounds awesome. And if they have further questions, you might just want to reassure them and say, listen, this is something we do full time. And we took a big risk going full time into real estate, not because we were in it for the money, but because we understand that this is going to require a lot from us. And it is going to require 100% dedication, because this is such a big deal to you. And because this is a huge deal to you, it's a huge deal to us. And we want to make sure that we are going to do our absolute best to fulfill what we are offering for you. So that being said, beyond that experience, what is most important to you in a real estate agent? Mm-hmm. And from there, the things are trustworthiness, communication, listening, no pressure, salesing, right? Like that kind of stuff. And ask them for their response and listen to what is so important to them. And then that's when you just want to reassure them and say, okay, I hear you that being a really great communicator is super important to you. I totally understand that. Here's what we do to make sure that we are offering is clear-cut communication to you throughout the transaction, so that you always have transparency and an understanding of what's happening. And then you need to be prepared to show them what systems you have in place to deliver that.
I love that, because that gives thank you, Stefanie. That gives such a good wave of like, the things that we are in control of, we do feel confident in. We feel confident in our spreadsheets and in our systems and all that. And what you just said, definitely gives us that confidence of, well, let me show you what we are in control of, and this is what this is what we hear your concern is, and we can show you with the things we do have prepared right then and there. So thank you. That's super helpful.
I love that. I'm glad that that's helpful. You guys are definitely not alone with that. So as you do that work, definitely make sure that you're role playing and that you are building out those systems to facilitate what you think your ideal client might be important. And you're going to have so much confidence. It'll take a couple of times, but you're going to just rock it because you'll know that that you are prepared. And experience is just a byproduct.
Right. Wonderful.
What else, you guys? Is there anything else that I can help you with?
Been happening. Sorry, you might lady snoring right now.
Oh no, I can't. It's okay.
HR department is sleeping on the job again.
Really, it's. Sorry,
I think getting now that things are opening back up again, which is very exciting. We're now ready to go out and start some events, start some, I know at one point we were talking about getting possibly like a coffee truck outside in our neighborhood. And what are some things, like when thinking of a first event, right? What ballpark would you, just for some ideas of what that might look like, how far in advance to start planning, and what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, this is my favorite stuff to talk about. So many ideas. So there's a lot of things that you guys can do. And I think, so Bryce and I, in our business, we always did at least 2 events per year, where we just invited everybody. So literally anyone that we knew, especially in those early days. The first time we did it was when we were about 6 months in. So it's about your timing. So we invited literally anybody we knew, past coworkers, friends, family, anybody we met. And I think that there were about 50 people at this event. And it was really, it wasn't necessarily a launch party, but it was a client appreciation event. And that's kind of what we called it. So I would come up with like some kind of buzzy theme. And one way that we learned to tie this in was to always combine our fun events with an initiative. So for us, that looked like in the summer, we did a, we did a water drive benefiting a charity that we're really passionate about here. So water drive for the homeless. And then during the holiday season, we always have our big blowout holiday party, where we combine that with a toy drive for children who are battling cancer at Phoenix Children's Hospital here. Sorry.
That's wonderful and so in alignment. Like
yeah,
that just
absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love the tying it.
Yeah. And so being able to tie it with that kind of helps give you a reason to reach out, and it gives people a compelling reason to show up too, right? Because you never want it to be about you. You're never appreciating yourselves. You're never tooting your own horn. That's something that, and you're not going to get up and like share your stats or what you've accomplished. Like it's all about the community and your clients. Okay. So it's just looking for ways to build that in. So if you're finding that a lot of the people that you're building great connections with are really invested into the dog lifestyle, like that might be an avenue to do. So choose an awesome charity or something like that you guys can benefit. Or, you know, kind of look along those lines. And then as far as timing, just as a general rule, you want to give people at least a month before sending out invites. So I think you need a good 6 weeks, a good 6 to 8 weeks for planning, sending out invites, coordinating vendors, getting all of that stuff done. And then what I'm asking myself is, okay, how much am I ready to spend? Because that's going to be the next question. So with this, especially when it's when it's benefiting a charity, it kind of gives you a little bit of leverage to involve others who feel passionate about that as well. So for us, we would always be looking to our partners in the business. So inviting in our home inspectors, our title and lending partners, our home insurance reps, right? Like even down to trades who work with us as well. You can even bring in other people who do who have awesome like dog related businesses. So bringing in like a dog washer or whatever, bring in these other people to help you sponsor, and they might be able to donate something. They might be able to donate like little gift bags, or they, depending on who it is, they may be able to contribute funds to help you reserve your space and bring in food. Because what you don't want to do is stick yourself with the $3,000 bill for this blowout event, which is something that we've done a lot. And that's fine. You can do that. But there's no reason why you can't leverage in a way that brings opportunities to those who you partner with as well. So the first thing I would be doing is making a list of potential people you could reach out to involve, and seeing how they might like to participate, so that you can have a greater reach and greater impact without that coming directly out of your pocket, you know?
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's great. There's this place, kind of a side note, there's a place that we were thinking of. I think they're limiting 10 people or 10 dogs, but there is a place that in Austin that has a dog pool, like with a little fire hydrant, with a little waterfall and all that. They have one for the dogs who are staying there for, you know, their vacation, but then you can also rent this other pool and bring other dogs and people. So we really want to do like some kind of like maybe a smaller thing, because you can only, I think, have 10 people, but we thought of that as a fun like start of summer, because a lot of our clients do have dogs. So like having that little, and selfishly, I just want to go there too and see Lady. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So there's, depending on the scale you want to do it, you could also do smaller quarterly events like that with groups of like 10 to 15 people. And the way that I would be doing that is inviting like 5 people who you know would do business with you, and then asking them to bring one new person.
Mm.
So say, hey, bring a friend, bring someone new. I want to meet more people. And you can even joke about it. Like, I'm trying to make more dog friends.
Right.
Just be serious about it. And they'll be like, okay, cool. Like, whatever. I've got Sally who has a golden retriever. We'll come.
Yeah.
You know, and that way, if you do that quarterly, you get huge numbers into your database. And if you did that quarterly, I mean, that's like doubling, tripling your database contacts in 1 year, which is like, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's love
fantastic.
it.
Yeah.
It's also doable too.
Right.
You know? It's all like anybody
fun.
can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely make a plan to start doing that quarterly then. That sounds like that would be a really good fit for you guys.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Exciting.
Cool, guys. Well, this was a lot of fun. What was your biggest takeaway?
Honestly, like hearing not that I'm, we're looking for validation and or like, oh, but just hearing that, okay, we're in the right direction. So hearing that, and also, I mean, honestly, right now, like talking about these events and how to scale it in a way that would work for us in our, depending on how many times a year and where we are in our business and financially. So, I mean, it's just, your words are gold. So a lot of things we got. I love it.
Yeah. Excited stuff to come. Definitely.
You guys got this. I'm seeing a lot of really good things, and I just want you to give yourself permissions to trust yourself, because you're doing this the right way, right? Like, you're putting people first. You're not going after like the slimy salesy stuff, just trying to make a quick buck. And as long as you're doing that and you stick to that, you'll always win. The industry needs people like you guys. So you got this.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you, Stefanie.
Well, whenever you want to come down to Austin,
yeah,
you gotta
bring little Grady and rice, and we'll all the spots.
Yeah. We'll go get some coffee, hang out at the dog pool.
Yes.
Sounds like heaven.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being so generous with your time. I'm so grateful for you also being so vulnerable and sharing your story with those who might be listening. So I'm really excited to follow up soon and see how things are going. But for those who want to continue, like maybe following your journey, can you just remind us where they can find you on Instagram?
Sure. So on Instagram, we are Gilligan Group ATX. And we're also on Facebook with Gilligan Group Real Estate. But we'll talk to you all on Instagram.
Yes.
Love it. Okay. We're rooting you guys on, and thanks again, guys. I really enjoyed it. This was awesome.
Thank you.